Hey y'all, Nev here. Hope you're doing excellent today. I wanted to share with you something I have learned just this morning. As you know, I am very big on just looking at all kinds of assets and what's happening and, really figuring out things of kind of how to think through some of the changes that are happening, have been happening, and are about to happen. And I think that that's sort of the key component that we can do is keep ourselves informed, educated, and then of course take action based off of the information that we have and based off of what we believe or know or think is going to more likely than not happen. It can be a bit rough to do some of that stuff because none of us know for sure exactly what things are going to happen, what will work, what will not work, and who's going to make what decision. I mean, we are in 2020 right now. Elections will be coming in a few short months, and who knows? We might get a bit of a same old, and we get something completely new. At the same time, we also might get, even if it's the same old, so to speak, with all of these changes with the markets and everything else, sometimes even when you have the same leadership, the overall direction ends up shifting. So it's really important for us to keep tabs on what things are happening and start drawing educated conclusions of what we think more likely than not will occur and kind of, go in that direction. And it can be a bit scary to try to figure out, like, what do you do, especially when you don't know exactly how things are going to roll out. So, be very cognizant about your own personal biases of what you're hearing, and, always just do your best of how to kind of position yourself well for many different things. And whenever having to choose something, always choose one option that will give you as many options as humanly possible. I think that that's probably the best strategy that we all can have when we are preparing for future. And future, none of us can see 100% of where it's going to go. I have my guesses. I have been right more times than I have been wrong. And so I'm going to continue going with my strategies and my thinking because it has just worked for me. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work forever. So I too have to learn from my successes and, of course, learn from my failures just as much. So it's really, that's kind of where my strategy and my goals and kind of what I'm looking to do. So one of the things that I have learned this morning was I was YouTubing some videos and just trying to get some information, kind of what's happening out there. As you may know, I don't have a television, I don't have cable, I don't watch mainstream media, so I oftentimes have no clue what's happening with all of that stuff. So I use alternative media sources to help me with what's happening. So one of the things that I have learned in watching one of the videos is state of Wyoming. I have actually liked state of Wyoming for many different years and for many different reasons. I find that Wyoming is incredibly good in setting up your LLC, and yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit more money to register over there and then register as a foreign business. That's a technical term, y'all. It's called foreign business when you register in another state. But it does provide some advanced safety measures that simply, as far as I know, no other state provides. Maybe Nevada comes close. It's relatively cheap to set it up over there, and actually might cost you a bit more money to set up the foreign business somewhere else. So that's something to kind of consider and think through. And if you need help with setting any sort of business entity, I do suggest and recommend you work with an entity attorney and advisor that can help you figure out what makes the most sense for you, because I am not it. Another thing that Wyoming is kind of doing, they're really trying to position themselves on the long play of how they can play inside the marketplace to benefit. They're not just like this year or next year, but like 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now. That's what I call long-term planning. And if you have been following anything that I have been posting, you will agree that I am a firm believer on long-term planning. Like, you got to take care of things today, but you really got to pay attention to how you position yourself for the future. Because if you position yourself really well for today and tomorrow, well, what happens a year from now? What happens 10 years from now? So you really got to think a bit bigger than just today and an immediate need. And what that looks like for you, I really don't know, but you should. One of the things they're doing is they're considering, they're trying to create opportunities for investors and for businesses to start utilizing cryptocurrencies to register properties. So, as you know, I like cryptos, I like real estate a lot. And so they're trying to marry probably two of my favorite assets into one really cool, powerful thing. And what they're looking to do is allow, when the property transfers, right now, there's like a lot of people involved and a lot of paperwork. And when I say paperwork, I truly mean paperwork, like an actual piece of paper oftentimes has to exchange hands. And what they're looking to do is utilize blockchain and create these tax advantages and strategies for businesses to kind of engage in that stuff. Sorry, the sun is playing a bit of a trick on us right now as I'm navigating the city. It's one of those things that is really cool of how they're sort of seeing the future, and the future really is going to be cryptos, y'all. It might not be Bitcoin, it might not be Ethereum. I have no clue which one is going to be. It might be many, it might be one. I got nothing. I have no clue. But I am convinced, I mean, with every fiber of my being, I truly believe that cryptos are the money that we all will be using in not so distant future. There's not a single doubt in my mind at this moment in time that that is the case. And so we have companies trying to create their own currencies or tokens. We are having countries looking to do that. We're having states that are looking and doing that. And Wyoming is one of the states that is considering doing some of those things and positioning itself. Delaware right now is a state that everybody knows about, that's where you go and incorporate. So if you want the corporation and you want the best advantages of what corporation can do, and you want to be in a legal system that supports your business and your corporation, like, you go into Delaware, right? And so Wyoming is basically saying, cool, like, we can't play that game, because when you're trying to catch up to the leader, all you're just doing is reacting to what they are doing. You can't become a leader following a leader, right? You have to go out into uncharted territories and do something that nobody else has done. And yeah, you could fail, but you could make it massively. And so if you strategically position yourself to think a bit differently and look for ways to reduce that risk, but maximize on the upside, then if you make it, you'll be a freaking genius, right? And everybody will gonna want to follow you. If you don't make it, it's going to suck, I won't lie, but it's not the end of the world. You can dust yourself off and try again, especially if you don't bet the farm, which is what I never recommend people do, is bet the farm on what they're doing. I do recommend that people do pay attention to what they're doing, don't take a huge risk, and look for opportunities and assets and investments and business opportunities and that kind of stuff. All kinds of different options that we all have on a daily basis, and look to position yourself in such a way where the upside is huge, but the downside is like whatever, like, right? It's a small thing, no big deal. It's not a huge problem if things don't turn out. It might hurt your ego, but let go of the ego and just go and do it. So that's what Wyoming is doing. They're positioned themselves in a crypto world combined with the most powerful asset that has served humanity, or at least the wealthiest of the humanity, for centuries. And so that's something that is really cool. I think it should be monitored and watched. And, considering Wyoming and researching it, might be a great idea. I haven't quite done it yet, but I do plan on doing it. I hope this is helpful to you. Until next time, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.